Welcome back to Word Blindness, Dyslexia Exposed. I'm Juliette Hahn, and I'm here with my co-host, Brent Sopel. How are you?
Yes. Is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? What day we got?
Yeah, it is Monday. Now, this actually is a very good segue because I have said a million times, I say it to people when I ask you how you are, I actually really want to know. I'm not just saying it so you can say, oh, I'm good, when I know you're not good. But this is like actually a perfect segue. So we started, and the reason why I was giggling is because I do this all the time. I didn't hit record because I wanted to make sure we were on the same alignment, because this is not going to be your favorite episode to record, because you've had a really, really, I want to say you have a lot of rough days and rough times, but you had a back-to-back really rough time. And I said to you last night, we didn't talk probably for like 4 days. And I was like, okay, I know how this goes. When you're having a hard time, you go dark. But then I was like, okay, this is longer than it normally is. We just had some really good wins. I need to understand. Like, I want to understand as a friend. I want to understand, like, okay, what it was. So I had all these scenarios playing in my head, like, could it be this? Could it be that? And then I was like, no, I just need to ask Brent what transpired. I know you were running the candle at both ends, big time, with the 7777 campaign. I think I might have added another 7 in there, but 7,777. Then we had this incredible article that was written, and I'm going to let you speak, but I basically was like, oh my, that might be too much. And I've said to you before, hey, if there's ever a time that you're like, okay, this podcast is not, it's not serving me anymore, or like what we're doing is not serving me, like, you could say, hey, I think I need to go in a different direction, and it would not hurt my feelings at all. And then you said, well, okay, that's interesting that you said that. No, it's not this. And then you kind of took me down like what your path is, because that would hurt your feelings if someone said it, if it was flipped. Like, if I didn't answer you for a couple of days, it would take you down this path. And you did mention it a couple podcasts ago, or maybe one that we recorded. And so I just want you to kind of, I know I didn't really ask a question there, but I know I could tell by your face you have stuff to say. So I'm just going to let you go.
It's when I'm in a bad place, my safest place to be is sleeping. To take, it takes the fear of me doing anything to anybody, myself, or anything. Just sleeping's the safest place for me to be. And there's obviously cycles, goes in and out. I think I slept for 4 days. I think it was, which most people like, what the fuck, but that's the safest place. But it's my rejections take me down. We talked about the campaign. Obviously it was absolutely amazing. It was, everybody donated, everybody got across, and Devin Murray is going to get the, this jersey, Chicago though, signed and framed, for getting us over. I always said, whoever gets us over, we'll get that. So he got us over. Obviously the article was amazing, well written, phenomenal. Obviously, I love some of the message you got and people you hadn't talked for a while. And what the fuck? You're in New York
The New York
Post.
Post. So like,
what's going on? Especially, being a New Yorker that you are, it was like, what the fuck? Where have you been? Now you show up on sports page in New York, New York Post. What am I missing? So that was pretty funny. But it was, for me, obviously, the campaign was phenomenal, but it's the no's, the people who didn't donate, the people who said they wouldn't, who didn't, who just skip over it. I take that personal. Somebody reaches out for me. I do everything I can to help whoever that is, whenever that is, whoever you are, that's just who I am because of the struggles, because of um, the pain, obviously the reason why the foundation was started. So the kid never feels the way I do every day. So I take that personal when people say that they're going to, or again, $1. It didn't need to be $77 or $777 or $1,000 or $2,500. $1. $1 is $1,000,000 to me because it's not about me. It's about the kid that's the younger me, the kid that's sitting there struggling wherever they are right now. Obviously here in Illinois, I think some of the schools start this week.
Ugh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you just made me start sweating.
So
threw up in my mouth a little bit. Oh, Jesus. Now I got a crick in the neck.
So when I reach out to people and don't get response, when people say they're going to do it, they don't. I take it personal because I know what it is to be in that chair. I know what it is that kid, like schools that's starting this week, exactly what you just did. Just the thought of it just knock me down. So I do take it personal, and it's not essentially, I always talk about the story's not about me, it's about every kid. But when I do whatever I can to help anybody one way, and it's not reciprocated, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 55, 100 times over, it takes a baseball bat to me. And and I go down, and it's the little things that that end up taking me out. But it's it's the same thing as we said during the campaign. Little victories, little $1, $2, those little things got us to that 777 faster than it ever has. Just like the little things take me down just faster than it ever has. So you and I were talking about just right before is kind of change that mindset of it's not essentially about doing it on purpose to take to you. It's something they've got going on, and I couldn't agree more. But when it's been going on for my whole life, I'll help anybody. But then why not me? Like, why can't you do this little thing? Why can't you this? Or it gets harder and harder to erase. It gets harder and harder to look at it, the other way, even though as you say, you teach people all the time. You're right. I do, but they haven't been knocked down as many times I have. And that's why I try and flip it the other way, Miss Unicorn over there, maybe with your Curious George hat, to make people smile, make people laugh. And that's why the foundation is so important to me, because I'm not the only, there's been people knocked out more than me. I'm not going to say I'm the only one in the world. But as you know, as the people we've talked about, there hasn't been too many people who've been knocked down the way I have so many times, and I never want a person to do. And every time I do, gets me closer to the goal of them being in my place, which, I take personal.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so there's a couple different ways, because when you had said to me before, like there was, if someone doesn't respond to you, you're like, it makes me crazy, or they just give me a thumbs up. And I said to you, well, but what if they're going through something too? And you were like, well, yeah, but, and so I said to you, like, I need to understand. And then when you explained it, because I was like, well, you got to think about the other person too. Right. So I kind of, and I wasn't coming at you in any way, but I was like, I want to understand. So I can also help others. Like if someone, through your story, if someone comes to me, I'm like, oh, okay. Because it is very different for me. If I send, and I was just sharing with you before, if when I used to do this, worked in the fitness world, and I would reach out to people and people would say no, I was like, okay, great. There's a yes around the corner. I would make it a competition. I never, ever thought it had anything to do with me. Now, I'm not saying that I'm better than you because you think that way or, whatever. It's a mindset. And as we talk about it with dyslexia, we get knocked down, knocked down, knocked down, like so many times. But even my mom, we just talked about this at our family reunion. She was saying, when I was a child, like if I failed something, I would say, well, the teacher didn't teach me that. Like, what the hell? And it was like, oh, okay. Where my older sister would be like, I'm so stupid. I can't learn it, this and that. You take that side more. So
Yeah.
I understand it because as I said, my older sister did it for whatever reason. I was just born that way. And that's why we talk about personalities. Not that I would blame someone else, because that's also, like, could be an issue. I don't blame. I didn't internalize it and say, yes, there was times where I'd be like, God, I tried so hard and I didn't do it. I'm stupid. But then I would bounce back. So I was saying to you, I just interviewed someone recently, a psychotherapist. And one of the things that she was saying, and this is what I said to you, this is what you teach. How can you get there? And then we laughed and you're like, can you record? Because I said, I'm not a psychotherapist, but let's talk about this, because you have had the same situation happen number of times. So it's basically etched in your brain. So if for all the visual thinkers, you think of a pathway and it's deep, 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 and it keeps getting deeper and deeper, deeper, deeper. So someone doesn't respond to you, your brain just does what it naturally does. And you said, which was something that I just learned, because I didn't completely, I thought I understood where you were coming from until you said, no, you go and say, I'm not good enough. Why won't they text me? I guess it's because of me. They don't like me and da-da-da. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize that. I thought you were just pissed. Not, and I don't want to say pissed, but it bothered you.
Yeah.
And I didn't put those words into it. So when you said that, I was like, okay, I understand in a different way now. You completely internalize it and completely put it back where it's like there's something wrong with you that the person didn't do it. Not that the person might be dealing with their own shit show and doesn't have the time to be like, oh, let me help, because even when you're at your most down, you still help people. And that's because that's the beautiful human that you are and the heart that you have. So it kind of even hits you more, because you're like, yeah, but I would do it even when I'm in a shitty space, but a lot of people are not like that. I get that, because I probably am similar to you, where I'll help as much as I can, and I'll go above and beyond. A lot of people don't go above and beyond in anything they do.
And again, while the foundation started, I never wanted a kid to feel what I do. So if I'm down, I'm in a bad place, I'll help, because I don't want them to get there.
Right.
Kind of, like, when somebody commits suicide, I'm like, I'm happy for them. People are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, you don't know what it is to be that dark and that, in that pain. So it's, you're right. A lot of people they don't do that a normal day, right? They don't go above and beyond that, where they need to be. But it's always, I've always, I guess, it probably got a lot to do with that connection piece, right? Not connecting with anybody for how many years of my life. And then, and there wasn't a day in my life I played. And one of the longest hockey careers, probably more than 95% of hockey players in the world. And there wasn't a day I thought I made it.
Yeah.
So it's always question myself, where do I fit in on that? Why, I just, know what it is to be, that pain. And I never want anybody else to be there. It's, it's not fun. It's unicorn and roses and flowers and balloons are a whole lot better than the dark side. And the more people you can keep out of the dark side, the better the world is.
Yeah. And I had said to you, like, because I guarantee the people that are not responding to you, they're not like, fucking Sobel, I'm not doing it. I guarantee that most of them, I would say probably all of them, maybe there's one, but I don't know, that are not
Oh, I'm
doing
sure
it.
there's more than one. I'm good at pissing people off.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's not like they're like, but it's because it's not top of mind. And that's why I said to you, I wanted to talk about this because depression is real and mental health is real. And someone could say, oh, I understand depression.
Yeah.
But if they are not, like I said to you, listen, I can't, I can, and I think there's a whole saying, I can sympathize and I can put myself in your shoes, but I've never, I think maybe twice in my life, I was never that down. One was when I was taking Adderall, when I was diagnosed with ADHD in college, and it just was not working with the chemistry of my body. And I
Yep.
remember being like, what the fuck? I mean, I couldn't get out of bed. I was everyone's like, what's happening with you? I'm like, I don't know. I had to call the doctor, obviously. And they're like, oh yeah, okay. Something's that you do not need this in that sense.
Mhm.
I needed a different, dosage or whatever with Adderall. And then there was a time where I had one of my friends died, and I
Right.
remember I
Yeah.
couldn't, like, I was like just getting like, but I got up, but I just remember being so freaking tired and sad for days on end, and that never really happens to me,
Mhm.
but I still could get out of bed. And so I know people that do, you're one of them, and I do know others that suffer from depression. And it's like, you literally cannot get out of bed. It's not that you're like, oh, I'm making this choice to stay in here. As you said, and I think people really need to hear that, is that that's the safest spot for you. So you don't do anything to yourself, or you don't get angry, like you're having emotions that you're not really completely able to control. And so you don't want to get in an argument with someone for no reason. And that's what I mean when you don't want to
Yeah.
get
No, I
angry.
could.
Yeah.
You know, it's a real thing. Mental health is a real thing. Depression, anxiety. It's all real. And the more you understand it, the easier it is, and just everything we talk about. Dyslexia, dyscalculia, or dysgraphia. The more understanding that we have around it, obviously, the better it is, the easier it is, right?
Uh-huh.
Does it make it? Does it make it? It makes it easier for you to make better decisions. It makes it easier if you can communicate that to people. Because if you don't understand it, how am I going to communicate that, for an example, to yourself to understand it? You're not, and you're not going to be able to make those good, good choices, or took how long for you to understand some of the things that I was saying. Took a year for you to understand some of the things I was saying, right?
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that I think some people don't know, but when ADHD, as you said, all the dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia. Dyscalculia. I don't want to say
I
that.
don't like that.
Now I forget how to say it the other way though.
This,
Decalcula. I like
yeah,
that. There is a anxiety portion to that. That it is a lot, and I would love actually to find that percentage. We all, just like everything, is spectrums, and spectrum. I'm not talking about autism, but
yeah.
I'm talking about degrees. So you could, like, there isn't. I have anxiety, and at times it's really bad, and it's one of the reasons why I stopped drinking, because I was like, oh my god, every time it wasn't helping anymore. It wasn't helping me numb. It was basically bringing my anxiety to a level that I was like, I do not like this. This is not good. I don't like feeling like this. So a lot of people, and I would say a very high percentage, if not all, with ADHD have some level of anxiety. And and I wouldn't say depression, but levels of depression. And I don't know, like, again, because I'm not a psychotherapist or a doctor, even though I play
am.
one on
So how can I
TV.
help you?
I play one on TV, right? There is, and it's because of the sensory. I mean, there's a sensory, it's the way your
Oh,
brain is wired.
yeah.
So, and I use homeopathy, and I know I've been trying to push it on Brent. So we'll come back and we'll see if he'll ever take me up on that. But I can tell when I need to change my remedy. It's interesting. My kids, two of them have slight anxiety. They were never diagnosed, but now it's like a anxiety disorder you can have, but I really think it's you got a slight ADHD, and the anxiety kind of just sits on your shoulder when you have that. But there's levels of it, and that's the other thing, is there's levels with depression, and I think people need to understand that anxiety for some can overtake and then put you in that depressive
Right.
state, right? If you cannot get a handle of your anxiety, is from what my understanding.
And, and the handle, as I like to say, the handle of anxiety is the understanding. Because, if you don't have, how many people have you ever heard had a panic attack that they thought they were going to have a heart attack? Where they didn't know what that was. Now, now I know what it is. It's a panic. It's my anxiety. Okay. Now you're not rushing to the hospital thinking you have a heart attack, because now you have some understanding. So can it? Absolutely. And, I always talk about, ADHD. Normal people that don't have it have dopamine running to their brain all the time. We don't. It's like a faucet. Our faucet is off. How do we turn it on? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Some adrenaline turns it on, right? So our brain, isn't functioning, way there does. So that, that's where the anxiety comes in. All right, what's next? Can I do it? Then, then the self-talk and the questions, and then you can talk yourself, into doing, flipping up a tree, just the craziest things, because that self-talk, obviously, Thomas the Train, I think you can, it's real. Your brain is the strongest part of your body. And you wake up in the morning, you tell yourself you're tired, but you tell yourself the opposite. I feel great today, right? You're going to feel better than if you told yourself you're tired.
And just to give you an example, and this could be interesting for some maybe don't give a shit. So, and it's really funny that as you were bringing that up, like today, this week, I have now 2 kids that are driving. My oldest has like 3 a days getting ready for soccer for college. And
that's not a real sport, though.
He'll debate with you on that. I have a ton of work to do, but I wasn't getting anxiety about the work. This is what I was getting anxiety. And when I mean anxiety, like I woke up twice in the middle of the night, like sweating, being like, okay, no one answered me on that. Like, I don't know who's going to be doing this and who's be doing that. And that's like, this is what I used to do when the kids were little. And so this is what I want to explain to someone. I was just having this long talk with someone about this, because I'm so all or nothing that if I am relaxed on schedule, I could let things fall through the crack because of my ADHD, or it's like, out the window. So I have to be uber focused on it. Now, I can run my own schedule with the work that I do at Fat Tech, the work that I do, with the SOPA Foundation, the podcast, and all of that. I have control over that. I can say, okay, I'm showing up, I'm doing it. Now, I knew my schedule was pretty packed today. Dan had to take his car into the city, rightfully so. I'm like, honey, that's easier for you. Do not worry about us here. If that's going to get you into the city without stress, because he's got a big week, I was like, don't worry about us, right? Yeah. We'll figure it out. So I'm texting the boys and my daughter, can everyone send me their schedule? Yeah, I'll do it in a second. I was like, no. I need to go to bed, and I need everyone to please, can you guys just send me your schedule? I need to map it out, and I need to look at it so I can see, okay, there's a pocket, and I'm really bad with time. So I think I can get, and this is an ADHD thing. Yeah. I think I can get a billion things done in an hour. Well, and I can't.
And you said keyword there. You need to see it, right? So that was the visual see. Yeah, 3:00, I gotta be here. No, that didn't mean anything. You had to visually see that in
what time everyone needed to be. I needed to look at my calendar to see what I needed to do, where I had calls and recordings, and then be like, okay, I need to work backwards. So, but I also know my oldest, if he has his schedule in his mind and something at the last minute changes it, it tweaks the fuck out of him, which I'm the same way. I've gotten way better as an adult. I'm way more flexible. But at that age, no. And even when the kids were little. So even in my 30s, I'd like it was really, it would like throw me. I would have to complain in my head, have like almost like a fit. And then I'd be like, okay, I got it. Yeah, I'd be like, motherfucker, yeah, right. And it was like, okay,
I'm taking my bat and ball and leaving. I'm going home.
Yeah, exactly. So I knew I needed to approach him like, okay, either you need to drop your brother off at work, or he can take my car. I'm coming back from yoga. I need to jump. But then we have to, and I have 20 minutes here. We need to go, and I need to get his car, but I need to let him know to put the keys in the glove box and not take it because he doesn't have his phone when he gets into work. So like, we need to make this decision now so everyone is on the same page. And then my daughter's like, I just need to be working at 3:00. And I was like, right. So I need to make sure, because then my Montgomery was tied up an hour. So I literally woke up and I was not relaxed. I woke up and I was grumpy, and I'm like, this is, but that's exactly where my anxiety, and the reason why I'm explaining that as detailed as it is, because someone else is going to be like, that's so weird, right? That does not throw them off. Others are going to be like, oh, wow, I never thought I'm the same sort of way. So like literally when I got to yoga, I said, and I knew everyone was sleeping too. I didn't want to also then go wake everyone up with like this energy of like, who's doing what? No one likes that. That's annoying. So I said, text when I got out of yoga, are you taking your brother? And he was up and he said yes. And then I was like, okay. And literally it was like, okay, we're good. Because now I know the car's here and everything else is lining up, and I know where everyone needs to be and all that.
That was the first piece of the puzzle, because it's the first, it's like, you're playing Jenga, right? You're trying to take the bottom, instead of taking the top an easy block, you're taking the bottom. Now you took the top block, and now the day can continue. If you took the bottom block, the whole thing fell, and you throw everything off.
Right. And it is, and that's when the kids were little. And I think I shared this with you. And I don't want to say tightly wound, because I'm not really a tightly wound person for the most part. I can have moments where I am, but I was not until kids. And then I remember my husband being like, what's happening here? And I was like, oh, I'm running a tight ship. I need to be on this, or it was going to be a free for all, because I could be really fun, but then the kids will be dicks, right? Wow. They're going to be dicks. And I didn't want dick kids. So I was like, I had to be so scheduled. So I made sure nothing got fucked up, because then if something got fucked up, even though I don't really beat myself up, I do being like, shit, I wish I did that different. And so I would love, go ahead.
My schedule.
Right?
Oh, like I've always had to be, I gotta be early. Hockey, when I played in NHL, I was there at least 3 hours before the game.
Right.
Now, if I showed up a little late and then I was now rushing, I was completely fucking garbage. I might as well not even put my skates on. I was horrendous on the ice, because now I was completely lost. Same thing now. If I'm going somewhere, if I'm late, I'm done. I'm done. It's if I'm early, where I can be there, finish a call, parking lot, whatever that is, great. That's the top block of Jenga. If I am late and rushed, that bottom block is just pulled, and I'm done.
So can you, if you can, I would love how I just kind of gave the scenario of my anxiety and what that looks like. Can you take us through, if you have headspace for it, like what the last week, where you were, and kind of what then put you in bed for 4 days? Like if you can, and you kind of started, but like I would love chronologically, if you could do that.
I remember who used to tell me, our highs are so high and our lows are so low. Never seen anything like it in my life. Yes. So it was, go back to your fitness, thing. Oh my God. I might sell this, or I might get this, or I might this. top of the world. This could happen. If it doesn't, take the rug out, and I was down down as dark as you can get it. So it's obviously the campaign was amazing. Getting across the finish line was amazing, followed by the article. So top of the world, right? Of all these synergies coming together. But then I look at the people I reached out to, sent them the link for the campaign. How many people that didn't participate. Obviously the people that we did, the people that did were obviously phenomenal. But I look at it and I'm like, look who didn't. You take a look at the golf outing that we have, coming up in September. Look at how many people that aren't helping out, that aren't sponsoring. So it's that the not good enough side comes into play for me. I reached out. I don't know. So you take a look at how many people saw the campaign on social media. You talk how many people I reached out to. Like, and it doesn't matter how much money somebody has or doesn't have. Wasn't asking. A dollar to me is $1 million. And then so it came on the heels of all that, all the phenomenalness, all the amazingness. Then I look at the people who didn't, and that's when I go to why me? What's wrong? What's wrong with me? Been doing these things for 4 years, and then that side of me comes in, and it takes me obviously down, because what's it's not about me, and trying for sponsorship for the foundation. I'm not asking for it's a tax break. I'm not asking you to invest in me. It's then it gets back to what's wrong with me. Why? Then I obviously start questioning myself and who I am, and what I'm doing, and am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? What's wrong with me? All that negative talk, and then it's a slippery slope. It's like the old slide at the playground with the kids. It's when it's not when it's dry, your butt just kind of squeaks down that slide, but when it's wet, it's you're gone. And I was it must have been raining that day, and I was gone. And but then when I start, I know that's just the safest place for me. I didn't look at my phone for 4 days. It was just a safest place for me to be. So obviously, I understand the anxiety of the schedule. I'm not, if I'm late, I'm done. I wake up in the middle of the night, stressing about the foundation, the financial side, all right, the sponsorship, and so I wake up, shortness of breath in the middle of the night, going, questioning that side of things. So it's a slippery slope that I go down, because I never want anybody else to go down it. So that's why people are like, oh, you're a better coach than you're a better player. 100%, because I never wanted anybody to be a coach, and from the depths that I am and that I've been.
Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing that. Also, so I'm gonna pretend to play a psychotherapist for a moment. And this is one of those,
and let's, let me throw because if this was something new, that a business, something like, let's just say the foundation is a new business, just starting it, it would be a completely different story. But it's that's nothing new. It's been, you know, we just crossed the finish line the other day. It was 7 years of the grind, and it's been the same thing on different magnitudes and different levels for 7 years.
Right. Right, which is understandable. So it's understandable why you go there, right? It's like you're creating. Now someone could say to you, well, just don't think about it, right? It's like when you're like having like a meltdown and someone says to you, it's going to be okay. It's like, go fuck yourself, right? So you could give me the finger if you need to here. I just want to play a scenario out too, because as I was saying, in your brain, if someone can visualize that, that path is so deep that it's hard for your brain to get out of that path. If you think of like that path and you think of a little stick figure or a little person in there, that's like, oh, this happened. Oh, they're right back in there. And they would need to do so much work to
It's like
get out.
like a bobsled, right? Lose, you know how wide those things are.
Yeah.
I'm in the bottom. Try climbing out of that.
Right. So I'm right when and you could feel it. You then get deeper and deeper and deeper. So when you've heard people, you could go on Instagram, you go anywhere when you hear people say that they used to have that deep ingrained, where things used to happen and how they got themselves out. Because what needs to be done is there needs to be another path that is next to it. And I don't want to say positive, negative, because that's not anything, but like where you're having more wins than you're having these moments, right?
No.
But my question to you is, and again, you want to give me the finger, and you might also do what you're really good at and change the subject, but I don't think so. I think I got you in a good spot here. You're having these like, did you just decide to go to your phone and look and be like, but these are all the people that didn't do it, or like, did it pop up? Like, how did that come about? If you can explain
No,
that.
yeah, I didn't go back and look. I knew exactly. I know I still don't know how many people exactly that I sent it to, but I know exactly. Um, you know, obviously you take a look at the obviously in the backside of thing. We got to see who donated, and we're keeping
Right.
track. We were keeping track to, as obviously the excitement getting closer. And then once we got across, so looking at the names who did donate and who was a part of it, because like I said from day one, it said whoever gets this across is going to get a gift, right? So it was keeping track of that kind of stuff as we saw.
Right.
So at the same time as I was keeping track as where we're going, I knew exactly who didn't. Right?
Right.
I shouldn't. I shouldn't say exactly. I knew.
You knew, yeah, in your head, you had an idea. Now, here's another question: Is this something where it's like, okay, that 4 or 5 people that don't help time and time again trigger you? Is it safe to say you put them away and you never ask them ever? Because it's like, you know what? I know they're not going to. I know it takes me down a really bad path. I'm going to start creating a different group. And the ones that I know are my triggers. I'm just going to leave them there. And I have a different relationship with them. I know that those people I can't count on for X, Y, and Z. However, I'm going to start creating a new thing. Maybe it's people that have reached out to me in the last 7 months, right? But like people, and again, I'm playing a psychotherapist on TV here. And maybe psychotherapists, they were listening to this and they're like, wait, I think she's a psychotherapist. Again, I am just throwing scenarios out because if those are triggers, right? Like as an addict, don't they say to you, like, stay away from the things that are triggers?
Mm-hmm.
So is that fair enough to say there's like a number of people that could be triggers, or no, it's just more of the overall idea?
More the overall idea, right?
That's harder then.
It's where you going 100%. If it was certain individuals, right? Yeah, 100%. But it's the overall idea of it actually same kind of concept is. Well, when I was talking to somebody, was it a couple weeks ago, I was talking about a lot of dyslexics with a lot of money don't donate to dyslexic foundations. Like, why? They could change, so much. I'm like, because they're not okay with it. They may say they're okay with it, but they're not, right? I've gone across this,
Mm-hmm.
recently. We've talked about this, I think, on the podcast. So they stay away from it, right? Um, so it's and obviously that pisses me off because it's what they can be doing, right? So
Right.
it's not so much individually with me. It's the overall. You've heard me say this. Elon Musk, I fucking hate him. I'd love to curb stomp him. You're like, oh, don't be nice, because he's autistic. Or excuse me, he's got Asperger's, but he doesn't do anything for the Asperger's community. So I'm not, and I refer that and I say that because I'm not just trying to be selfish here for the dyslexic community. I don't care. Whatever, if you have something to support your community, support, and so that's where I have the problem with. So it's the overall.
Yeah.
There's a
I got
reason
it.
why. What do they say? Low, middle class, lower class donate the most because they're most affected.
Right. Because I think
And
we like you, I said my landscaper donated, which
yeah,
was so nice.
which is, and those things make my heart smile more than anything. It's those people. It's those people are affected. It's those little things. But then my, happy face flips quickly to the sad face, knowing that there's so many more people that could just do a little bit and just have so much impact in the world. As I my call earlier this morning, I was telling you about. First thing he asked me, he's like, "So you still deal with bullying?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." I said, "Kids don't bully kids in wheelchairs; they bully kids like me." And he he started laughing. He's like, "Oh, I don't mean to be rude," and he wasn't being rude at all. It's
Right.
big big bad Brent. People don't bully big bad Brent. Absolutely, they do. You know, it's so it's those things that um ways that people, he runs a huge, massive company, big guy,
Yeah.
awesome guy, does ministries in prisons. And he's like, I can't believe how much dyslexia runs, when I'm speaking to these inmates. And, um, it's, so it's the overall, the little donations and the people who take that and it's not so much the money. Money is big, yes, and
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing for the foundation. Correct. It's just get business. You got to run, right? The foundation's it's the most important thing, right? But it's the time. You took that second. You thought about me. You thought about every kid struggling, and you took that second to do it.
And that's exactly important. And I think that needs to be a clip um, to share because that is exactly what it is. It's nothing to do with the money. It's the time to show that it's
Right.
being seen and heard. It goes right back to that. So, can I ask you a question? In your younger
No.
years, I'm going to anyways. In your younger years, when you were playing, did your depression look different? Like, was it as like where you stayed in bed? I would think that you couldn't stay in bed. I mean, first of all, you had kids, young kids, and then you also were playing. So it's like you couldn't do that. So how did you? Has it gotten worse as you gotten older, or is it that? Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's gotten much. Well, I guess I would almost equivalent it to the same thing as that I was just talking to somebody who had that panic attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been having panic attacks for years. You just didn't know what it was.
Right.
So I would equivalent that to the same thing. Um,
You just handled it. It showed up different when you were younger.
and I think you handle it and show up different when you're 10 than you do when you're 26, when you do when
Yeah.
you're 46. So I think it's kind of the same kind of chronology, and it just takes me down harder, faster, deeper now because it means more.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's more kids are struggling. More people are struggling with mental health, and um, the people that have a platform aren't telling the truth, that aren't lying, and it tweaks me. You know that. The Tiger Woods of the world. It tweaks me more because of the impact they could have instead of what they are having.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
And it goes back to the phone. I never. And there's kids out there that has the opportunity to change the world, but they're never going to have the ability to. And let's give them the ability to.
I'm going to leave it at that. Another mic drop. Boom. No, but I
should get a little plastic mic.
I know, just drop it. Because you can't take this out and drop it. But no, and I appreciate you because we've talked about. So maybe it's not over. That you are a king deflector. So like you know how to change subjects. And I said to you before, when I spoke to you yesterday, and I hadn't spoke to you in a number of days, I was like, do you want? I had questions for you. Like I just asked you, but I said because I just want to understand, and I also don't want to go down where it's like we just had a huge win. Is that pressure, right? Like we got the article done. Is that like something that like I don't want to say I felt bad because I'm not putting it back on me, but there was a part that was like, I've said this to him before. I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, now I'm locked in. Now I have to do this podcast for the rest of my fucking life. Because that stuff, I don't, and that I don't take that stuff personally. I think when people are in something and then it's like, it doesn't feel the way I wanted it to feel forever. I think I want to start I want to start rethinking. I said to you, if that's something, and you were like, no, I actually think we can talk about this today. So I do appreciate that because I know it's never fun, kind of diving in it, but that it's important. And that's why you do talk about it, because I bet there's a lot of people also that don't realize that you suffer with depression the way you suffer with it. Because it's not like you're out there like, hey, it's like it's a personal thing. It's not an easy thing to be like, hey, yeah, I suffer from this. So the fact that you're sharing that more, someone else might feel more comfortable to be like, you know what, it is okay. Big Bag Brent, who's a, manly man. Well, you called yourself Big Bag Brent, but like as a manly man, professional athlete is also human. And not only does he have dyslexia, but he also suffers with mental health as well. And it doesn't make you any less. It doesn't make you any better. It doesn't make you anything other than a human that lives life just like everyone else with different things. And so it maybe will give someone the opportunity or the comfort to say, you know what? I actually really resonated with that. And I also suffer from it.
Well, and who was, I can't remember, just recently, was talking about, the NHL is talking about this, CTE, and I made a comment. I don't give a shit. People are like, well, what's your problem with me? Yes, I have it. The problem the biggest thing that I have, athletes, veterans, first responders, just about anything, you do whatever you do for your whole life. So there's nothing, obviously, as an athlete, I did something for 40 years. So most people don't do it as much as I do. Yeah, again, they hit that they hit the 40-year mark older in life, towards the end of their life type thing. That's all I knew. So it's having a purpose, and I had nothing. All I knew was the hockey. It's all all I know. Then now you're trying to question the skills. Do I have skills? Do I have other skills? Come out of the military. Fighting for the country. What skills do I have in the real world now? And we all have, and every guy's probably got CT, because there's a reason why women live longer than guys, because we're all idiots jumping over a tree. I broke my wrist in grade 8 trying to get a paper airplane, so
Right.
I think I got CT just from trying to get falling out of a tree with a goddamn paper airplane. So it's we all have it, but we lose our purpose, and the foundation is my purpose, because I never want a kid struggling the way I do, on all these levels, and they could do so much, and they can be such an impact in this world, and as a as a man, and as a woman, whatever that is, with more knowledge and understanding, you don't go down the holes that I do, and that's why I get so passionate about it. That's why, you and I talk to anybody, they're like, "Oh, I can feel the passion," because that's me. It's who I am. It's my purpose. But when I can't fulfill my purpose on a daily basis, and I know there's kids out there that I could be affecting, and helping, and I can't. It's hard.
Yeah. And understandable. And as you said, I mean, that's society, right? You're a man, you're supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z. You're a woman, you're supposed to be doing, and as much as we try to get out of those stereotypes, some stereotypes are there for, I mean, they're not just stereotypes. And the fact that you can be open and be vulnerable, because I know not your favorite place to be, not anyone's really favorite place to be, right? The vulnerability. I mean, but it's important.
It's life.
So I appreciate you not deflecting today.
I didn't once.
You didn't. I'm very proud of you. You didn't. I was ready for it, though. I was like, okay, I'm going to be aware. I'm going to be ready. You guys, you know what to do. Like, rate, review, and share. And thank you again, Brent, seriously, for sharing, because it's multi-leveled, it's multifaceted. It's just not, it can go down. So as you said, there's so many rabbit holes, and the more that we can talk about it, the better we feel, but also the more we can connect with others. So you guys, like, rate, review, and share, because you do not know who needs to hear this. And thank you for joining another episode of Word Blindness, Dyslexia Exposed.